Hey, welcome to this special bonus episode of the infamous podcast, I Quit Pulling My Punches, a Spider-Man No Way Home review. I'm Brian.
I'm Darryl.
And
I like that name.
What?
Like the title. I like that title.
Yeah,
I like the name Brian.
What was the other thing that he said? Like that I was like, I'm going to use this as the title. I completely forgot now. It was something Andrew Garfield said. Anyway, we are going to review the movie in full. We're going to give it we're going to give it 10 out of 10 Multiverse Spidermen. And we're going to spoil it. So we are going to give our non-spoiler thoughts up front. And then after that's done, we are going to spoil the shit out of this movie.
Yes.
So anyway, I just want to say, like, I was super wrong about this film. Not from like a quality standpoint or a story standpoint, but from a box office standpoint. And we'll get to that. But I am just in shock how much money this movie is making. And unfortunately, I can't talk about why I think it's making so much money until the spoiler part. So for those of you who are listening to this and haven't seen it and care about spoilers, make sure you come back and listen.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
because it's some good stuff. It's going to be some very good stuff.
Absolutely. Let's get right to the non-spoiler review. So this is going to go for just a couple minutes. So this is really hard to talk about. I think the thing that I've been telling everybody when they've asked me about this, and I think it sums up my thoughts about the movie and on a whole, is this is the first Spider-Man movie the MCU's ever done.
And that was what you told me Saturday, like when we were out, and because me and my girlfriend went to go see it on Sunday, like 11 a.m. And you said that, and I was like, curious. And when I saw it, I completely agree. And I honestly, I was watching somebody's review of it, and they said the same thing, which was interesting. One of the reactors that I watched, they said the exact same thing. Like, this really seemed like the first true Spider-Man movie in the MCU. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah,
this is something.
So I'm going to preface. I have not watched anyone else's reviews. I have nobody else's thoughts in my head other than my own. Because
I just thought that was funny that they said that. And I said, oh, I know somebody that said that first.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought. But so this is the movie the MCU needed, honestly, because 2021 started off very well for the MCU with WandaVision. For me personally.
Absolutely.
And again, even though we both love WandaVision, everybody didn't.
No.
Let's be honest.
I'm actually surprised at the people who hated WandaVision.
I'm very surprised at that.
But then, like, when I talk to them, I understand it. But like, this is the guys from like Geeks and Gamers and stuff. What was it? Jeremy had the video about how they need a white straight man to save Hollywood.
Yeah,
which I thought was really funny. But I think the important thing about this movie is it's got a ton of heart. And the thing that they do best is they put character first. And the Spider-Man that we've gotten in the MCU up until this movie, so I'm talking about everything up until No Way Home, has been super cocky and, just not at all like remorseful or like he's not remorseful. That's not the right word. He's not trying to like redeem himself from anything, right? And we find out why. We find out why there has to this till this movie up until this movie there has been no with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And so
because if you think about it, the first time he got introduced to the bigger world he had his powers for what, 6 months,
Yeah.
and then Tony Stark comes to him,
Right.
like gives him a new powered up suit.
Mm-hmm. Makes him Iron Boy.
Yeah, and even in that, Tony is the one cleaning up his messes, like on the the ferry incident.
Mm-hmm.
Tony cleans that mess up.
It's not just the fairy incident. I mean, it's the fact that he has like Happy like monitoring Peter. He's got LoJack on the suit. I think and then in Far From Home, it's the whole are you going is Peter Parker, is Spider-Man going to be the new Iron Man?
Right.
And so that was the question. And so it's had the shadow of Tony Stark looming over him. And in this one, like, obviously he has to come out from under that shadow because there's no more Tony Stark.
Right. And the thing you said this has a lot of heart. And the two of the things, this was, again, this is another MCU movie in the sense of it had some good humor in it, but the emotional moments were allowed to breathe.
Are we talking about characters who showed up in this part, or are we saving that?
No, we're like, we can talk about the characters that were in like the trailers that we knew were coming.
Okay,
like you knew Doc Ock was coming.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna actually leave all of the villains out, and just I'm gonna focus on Zendaya, because Zendaya in every movie, is that how you say it? Zendaya. Okay. I was like, I put a ha at the end, like Zendaya. Yeah, dude. So I've been on with the accents today for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Like when you called earlier, I was like, hello. I was very, 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 very Russian. I can't do it right now. It was a spur of the moment. No, she was great in this because in a lot of things, including Dune, she's just Zendaya.
Yeah.
And in this, like, she was MJ, and spoiler, we get to find out what the MJ stands for, which I thought was kind of great, and fun and like kind of cringe at the same time. But I loved the relationship between her and Peter, and just the way that character, who is so cynical up until this movie, has at this point just accepted Peter for who he is, right? There's no like, well, you have to pick this. So you like there was with Mary Jane Watson in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like, she's like, you have to pick being Spider-Man or me.
Yeah.
And then cheated on him with his friend. And then cheated on his friend with him. It's just there's a great meme about the Russian girl who lived across the hall from him, about how she was actually the perfect girl for Peter. Because she loved him. She made him cookies. She never cheated on him. Anyway. No, I loved that portrayal. And getting to see her like working like a job in this, like struggling to get into school and not just some rich kid, like that was great. I will say, I feel like the Ned Leeds character has run its course.
He's the guy in the chair, though.
See, I can't retort that without spoiling something.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. I just to go a little bit not further, but just I just want to say this is a movie that I think, like I said, the MCU needed for various reasons. Zendaya was great. The acting in this movie was phenomenal. There were moments, just phenomenal moments of acting in this movie. The action was great. I mean, you see some of the stuff in the trailers, you just have no idea how much better the action gets. Wasn't perfect movie. There was, again, this is a 2.5 hour movie. And again, Mr. Tudor over here always
too long
mentions how
it was
a half
hour. It was a half hour
too
long.
And I will say, generally speaking, the only thing I disagree on usually when you say that is just how much could be cut out. But I almost invariably when you say that, I generally agree that X movie is too long, and this is no different.
Right.
There were portions of this movie that could have been either cut out completely or at least shaved down.
Yep.
Especially in the first act, which again, I get why they were doing certain things, but I thought they could have moved the pace could have moved a little bit quicker in that first act.
Yeah, the
and
first
even
act
in the second
definitely dragged a bit.
Yeah. So with that being said, absolutely, I cannot wait to see this movie again. We were just before we were just trying to figure out like, okay, I was just trying to figure out when can I see this
I kind of feel like we need to go see this together, you know?
Yeah, I want to go see because this is one of those movies we usually do go see together.
Yeah.
And
timing didn't work out this time.
Right. And especially because we didn't want to get spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
And two, we wanted to talk about it on here at least, early, because again, this is Christmas week. It's Saturday.
Right.
I was about to say Friday again. I don't know why I have it in my head. It's Friday. But so, yeah, I do want to go see this again. We do need to try to figure out when we can go see this.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely a movie that, again, I will go see. This is again, I love the first two. I really like the first two Spider-Man movies, Homecoming and Far From Home.
I love Homecoming. Yeah, it's in my top 6 of Marvel movies.
That's in my top. I can't remember if it's my top 10
it
or
might
top
be
8.
it might be higher than 6. But I am lukewarm on Homecoming.
Far From Home.
Yeah, sorry, Far From Home. Far From Home. Homecoming I loved. Far From Home I'm just kind of lukewarm on it. Like, I liked it. It's a good movie. It's fun. I've watched it, a dozen times, but it's just one of those things that I don't know. I just where is it? Oh yeah, Spider-Man is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's my 5th. Homecoming is my 5th favorite. So.
Yeah, Homecoming is it's 8. I could actually put it ahead of a couple of the movies that it's ahead of.
I have to update this list because I'm missing 5 movies.
I am too. Do I even have Black Widow? No, I don't have this one.
Hold on. No, I have Black Widow. So I'm missing 3. I'm missing Shang-Chi, Eternals, which I can't put on there because I haven't seen them in this one, and I don't know where this one goes.
Yeah, I will say Eternals is probably going to be in your bottom 5
if I ever see it.
Just knowing you, yeah, if you ever see it, I can almost guarantee that's going to be in your bottom 5 or maybe even bottom 3.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Well, I mean, my bottom 3 are Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Age of Ultron.
Yeah, mine are Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, and Thor: The Dark World.
Iron Man 2 is just above Black Panther. So
Black Panther is my number 6 movie.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 16.
Incredible Hulk is above Iron Man 2. Then Iron Man 3 is above that, because I actually enjoyed Iron Man 3. And then Thor: The Dark World is above that because it's low-key better. And then I have Black Widow up there, but Black Widow definitely needs to fall. Yeah. I don't know. I need to watch Black Widow again.
I haven't watched it again either.
Anyway, we're not talking about Spider-Man. So yeah, I mean, this movie's crushing it in the box office, which is great. I haven't talked to anybody who doesn't like it.
Yeah, me neither.
So I like that. That's huge, and it's it was saved by a straight white British kid. I'm kidding. But yeah. All right. So do we want to wrap up the non-spoiler portion?
Yeah.
You said you wanted to go like 2 or 3 minutes where
it's like
it's
10,
14. So
yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're that's plenty.
Okay. So if you are still listening, or if you haven't seen it and you're still listening, like, this is your last chance. Hop off, because we're about to start the spoiler review right now.
Yeah.
All right.
And go see it in the theaters.
Absolutely.
If you can.
All right. Man, now I got to update this. Okay, so the spoiler review. What a goddamn fucking great movie.
Absolutely.
I just like Andrew Garfield 100% stole every scene he was in. And I told you, that was the one thing I came out mad about, is that he didn't get a better director and a better team of writers and a better supporting cast.
Yes, and yes.
So, like I get the Emma Stone thing. I do. I didn't care for her as Gwen Stacy. I don't know why. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, people.
I don't know. I thought she was okay. You know?
I hated Dennis Leary as Captain Stacy. Just like, it's like, okay, dude, you're either a firefighter or a cop. What else can you do now? Like, you used to be a freaking stand-up, a great stand-up. Now you're just, this. All right. So the opening of this movie is fantastic because it pretty much picks up right where we left off from Far From Home.
Yeah.
So
J. Jonah Jameson, played by the immortal J.K. Simmons, blasts out. And again, that was like straight, like you said, that was straight from Far From Home, where it's like Spider-Man is Peter Parker, Quentin Beck. And then we actually see him on the streets because, that was when he was taking MJ for, a web-slinging ride. And it just shows you like the chaotic nature of when something comes out, people's immediate response to it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen.
So I think they did a really good job too about like how that would really happen, because everyone's like pulling in, and the one girl grabs him, right? Or grabs Zendaya, and he pushes her hand away, and she's like, "He assaulted me. Spider-Man assaulted me. Oh, call the police. I'm a Karen."
Yes. Absolutely.
I can't wait to go watch some people's reviews after this. But yeah, so there was that to it, and it was great. And then when they're swinging away, she hates it. MJ hates it. She doesn't want to be web swinging. She's like, and she's covering his face, and her hair is everywhere, and she's covering his face with her hands, and it was just a fantastic way to open the movie, and to get back to May's apartment and what happened when he's trying to change and they're in the room and she's helping him get out of the suit, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, and like I said, it was such a frenetic opening. Like you said, that's how it would be, and it's one of those. It could have been one of those, but I don't think it would have worked if they would have showed the after of that. Like if it started 10 minutes later.
6 months later, or 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. But we needed to see that to start off showing how this is a literal life-changing event not for Peter, not just for Peter, but for everybody in his inner circle, Ned, MJ, May.
Happy.
Like even Happy. Yeah. So it showed in a different way, Flash, even though he's like on the outer circle. But
the kid that played Flash got fat.
Yeah,
did you notice that?
Yeah.
He was like the Indian Eminem with the blonde hair. Anyway, I don't know if he's Indian, so I just am making an assumption there. Yeah, I love the way it picked up. I love the first day of school with the teachers, with Martin there, and JB Smoove and what's the other guy's name?
Oh man, yeah.
When he was the gym teacher who was what is his name? Who he was like, I believe Mysterio. It's like, oh my god, what is wrong with you? But yeah, that was pretty funny, and they had the whole shrine to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just really funny. Yeah, so it was Martin Starr and Hannibal Buress. That's who it was.
Okay.
Who is great in Tag, by the way. I know we talk about Tag a lot with in respect to Jeremy Renner, but Hannibal Buress is great in Tag. They use him the absolute perfect amount.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in like even the students, like it's great because they all like had their phones out filming him, but it was like he was like radioactive as he walked through. They would spread like, you know, like the Red Sea and then like form back up after he passed, like in his wake. And it was a really cool scene to really set up alienating Peter.
Yeah. And again, that's something that we've never seen before in the sense of his journey through the MCU, because he's always been, he's been the nerd and on the outskirts, but he's always had Ned. And if anything, it was one of those things where he was flying under the radar. Now, everywhere he goes, he can't go anywhere without people, even people that love him, you know, wanting to get pictures or wanting to be around him, or people that hate him throwing bricks through windows. So it's kind of a take in a way on, you know, just that instant fame that sometimes people get and aren't ready for it, whether it be for the right or the wrong reasons. And I think that was a brilliant way to, I mean, you had to do this for the rest of the movie to work.
Yeah. Absolutely, 100%. You had to set that foundation, and we got his like spot right on top of the school, you know, the Midtown Science School,
which becomes extremely important,
and it really does. I mean, throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're dealing with trying to get into college and you know, MIT and all of that. And it's got a nice montage of none of them are getting into any schools.
Yeah.
And then like they all get their MIT letter last and none of them get in. And then Flash pops in, who's written a book, by the way. We did not talk about Flash's book. But so Flash pops in with an MIT sweatshirt on. And then Peter goes to, this is where he goes to Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange is he's in a bit of a state himself.
Right.
He's not the Sorcerer Supreme. Wong is, which was very interesting. And it was kind of a throwaway line.
And I almost missed, and I kind of missed that in the sense of, you know, when you think when a line goes through or something happens and your brain is late to connect and you're like, wait, what? And then, you know, I can't fast rewind it, but based on how Wong was acting, I kind of sussed it out.
Yeah.
But it was one of those where wait, what?
Well,
but yeah, you're right. It was
because Wong didn't disappear.
Right. So it makes absolute perfect sense.
So it was a nice bit. So like they did such a good job of tying in the MCU to this movie and the Sony Spider-Man and the Sony Amazing Spider-Man all into this movie.
Yes.
I thought it was really interesting to do that, and the way they did it and the care that they gave to this. I mean, this is John Watts' third time out. I think Chris McKenna and Eric Summers wrote the other two. Oh no, they did not write the other two because the first one was written by the dude from Bones, who was on, oh shoot, what was his name from Freaks and Geeks? But yeah, it's one of those things where there was so much care that went into this, and like even with Doctor Strange, it was just really good, and I appreciated the art that went into the story, you know?
Yeah. And one of the things I really like when he went to Doctor Strange and then Peter and all this stuff happens, he does a spell and Peter is like Peter. hey, can MJ? He's changing the parameters of this spell in the middle of it, and screws Doctor Strange up. And then Doctor Strange was like, hey, if this happened and, you tried to convince them to, because it's all about him, not, it's partially for him, but it's also because he says he doesn't believe that the people that are suffering in his life because of who he is should be suffering.
Right.
MJ and Ned not being able to get into college, and May and Happy, but specifically the college thing.
Yep.
And when Doctor Strange, he says, oh, I could call them and talk to them.
Right.
And he gets pissed, and he has a great line. He's like, you know what? With all we've been through, I sometimes forget that you're still a kid.
Yeah.
Because he's still 17.
Yeah.
17 years. He's only 17 years old.
Yeah, he's a babe in the woods who Tony threw into the global spotlight.
Talk about child endangerment.
Right.
Yeah.
We skipped the Charlie Cox thing.
Yes.
And let's pause for this for a second. So they're at the table. They're going around talking about a lawyer, and May is, like, we've got this great lawyer. And then it pans around and it's Charlie Cox sitting there. And then somebody throws a brick through the window and he catches that. And Peter's like, wait, what? And nobody else notices this, right?
Yeah.
Like, Peter's the only one. And the way May is talking about, like, talking to Matt and everything, it's like, did May have sex with Matt Murdock?
Well, Matt, they would talk about how he would get around.
I mean, Daredevil is a man whore. He is a man whore.
Yeah.
Man whore. Mun whore, if you will. But yeah, I don't want to say that about May. I mean, she's Aunt May. She's just Aunt May.
Yeah.
Just happens to be the smoking hot Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. But anyway.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great scene. And then Happy is just hung out to dry. Like, where is Pepper Potts in all this? Like, is Happy in charge of Stark Industries now? Because that's not going to end well.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're going to talk about this a little bit more in Armor Wars.
Yeah,
if that comes to fruition, because that's a big kind of gap in things, because Pepper absolutely should be have a controlling interest in Stark Industries, and I think that was probably too much to kind of like go through, but yeah, it was kind of it did kind of leave him out on an island, and
I get it was for comedic purposes.
Yeah, because I was about to say, as much as we love Happy, I really love the character. He's not equipped to be running a multi-billion-dollar company,
multinational
in any way, multinational.
But they did use the picture that Tony liked to use of him with the mullet, so that was funny.
Yeah.
We got to see Happy's apartment, which was interesting.
I mean, that was pretty slick. Yeah, well, even had an upstairs.
Yeah, that's nice. All right, so with Steven, and he's like, it's weird, but I'll allow it. Going through that, and then Peter goes to find Flash at the mixer that he had just told them about before Peter went to see Doctor Strange, and Flash is like, oh no, you got to go talk to this lady. She just left. She's going to the airport. And so Peter is swinging his way out, and finds her. But as he's going out, like, you notice, like, he doesn't have the facial recognition. He's not connected to the Stark network anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that in his HUD.
Yeah. I saw that was. Yeah, I thought that was very cool.
So that was really neat. And it's kind of, again, just kind of a throwaway thing, but like, it's just that attention to detail that is pretty epic.
Yeah, and he finds her, and right away, it's always Bridges, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all Bridges are just never.
Yeah, Bridges
never the safe place to be in superhero
are not
movies.
friends.
Yeah. So that's when we get, and this is one of those things that's not a surprise. We've seen in the trailer.
Well, it's in the trailer with the "Hello, Peter."
Yeah, with Doc Ock coming, because I love how they do it. How tentacles are just almost like sandworms or whatever.
Just like Shai Hulud. Bless the maker. Bless his passing and his going. Anyway, Alfred Molina looked great.
Yeah, he did.
And I don't know if they did the de-aging on any of them. I don't think they did, but he looked great. I mean, so did Willem Dafoe. But that guy doesn't age. He's just always looked like Skeletor.
I know he can't. I was about to say he came out the womb looking like that, probably.
You almost stepped on my you almost stepped on my Skeletor line there. Anyway, but yeah, it's just like it was really cool. And then Peter's trying to save everybody. The college admissions person gets thrown over the edge. Peter saves her, but not before Doc Ock throws him up against the wall and goes to stab him and realizes or rips off part of the costume, right? And realizes it's the nanotech, and immediately it incorporates into his arms,
which I thought was quite cool.
It was cool, but it also set up how to as a deterrent. It wasn't just the thing that he thought it was going to be.
Right.
But then he's like, wait, you're not Peter Parker. And so we find out there's no Otto Octavius in the MCU.
Right.
We actually learned there's not there's no Norman Osborn. There's no Max. I can't remember Max's name. Electro's last name. There's no Sandman or anything like that. So Max Dillon. So yeah, it's just really, it's weird. It's really weird, right? If I'm in charge of Disney after this movie, right, I'm looking at this and be like, okay, this isn't the 616. We could actually reboot this whole thing and do the 616 and do it right. And that's how we bring in the X-Men, and that's how, but that's just me putting my thinking cap on. But it's a great scene with Doc Ock. Pete is able to subdue him, and they get him back, and then he gets him back with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and that was right before, or not right before. Right before they get him back to Doctor Strange, the bomb, you get
the pumpkin bomb,
Goblin's pumpkin bomb.
Yep.
And which was and then you hear Otto say, Osborn?
Yep. Norman. He says Norman.
Norman. He says Norman. Yeah.
He says Normie?
So that's kind of starts Peter's attempts at corralling these because again, this is the instance where not seeing it a second time, some of the details of in this little section of the movie, as far as figuring out that there's an incursion of individuals who aren't of this earth. And long story short, we have them trying to figure out who the second guy on the bridge was, and instead of running into him, they actually run into They run into Max/Electro, who looks so much better.
Yeah, he's all healed and
in this.
Yeah. And the fact that he got his hands on an arc reactor, I thought was pretty cool. But
even before that, he says something about this place. It's different. The energy is different.
Yeah.
Which also reminds us that in that world there was no Tony Stark /arc reactor. Right. So it does open up some interesting, thought experiments with how to move forward with this, how you could potentially move forward with, something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's where is if Into the Spider-Verse is part of this, right? Kind of larger Spider-Verse. Where does Miguel O'Hara come from? Which what was he a Spider-Man fanboy? 2,000 years in the future, or 1,000 years, whatever it is, 100 years. But yeah, so I just think it's interesting. It just opens up a lot of stuff. But this is the part where I kind of zoned out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of stopped paying attention for whatever reason. I literally got bored with the villains when they were capturing them because of the way, I don't know. It was a little too much. Like when Sandman showed up, and I was like, okay, like this is cool. I don't know where it's going. You know, it spun its wheels a little too much in the middle.
Yeah, and this was kind of where I thought some parts could be snipped a little bit. I would have to like really go into this and look at it to see where like, oh, this could be cut out. This probably could be cut out. But ultimately we get to the part where, funny enough, where Norman Osborn, and again, for those who need to be refreshed, Norman Osborn / Green Goblin, it's that dual split personality thing. You know, he has that goblin who is all about the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the chaos as a ladder, kind of walking up a ladder thing. And then you have Norman Osborn who knows, you know, who's trying to fight against it. And when he ends up going to Aunt May, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, tracking her down because I think he saw an advertisement for Feast, which when I saw Feast, it just reminded me of the Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Because you spend a lot of time there.
Yep.
But this is where Aunt May says he needs help.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter's like, dude, I'm helping him. I'm sending them back.
Yeah. He keeps saying it's not my problem. We're
Right.
sending them back. Like, and then we find out that they're going back to the point right before they all die.
Yeah.
And Peter's okay with that. And, you know, and then other people are like, oh no, we can cure them, you know?
Right.
So it was just really, really interesting. It was interesting. Like I said, this is the part where I waned a little bit, just like not paying attention for whatever reason. But again, it was super hot in the movie theater. That was the other thing, because I don't remember the last time I was in a full theater. And I wore like jeans and a sweatshirt. Rookie move.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you, my movie stopped twice.
Oh.
Like during the conversation with Doctor Strange, when they went, like I think it was after they captured Doc and they were going back and forth, it froze twice. The first time it froze for about 10 seconds. Second time it froze for about 40 seconds. Like, and that was like 20 seconds late after the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is, and it didn't do it again.
Yeah.
But
that's why I don't go to Cinemark.
So yeah, this is when he decides, okay, we're going to try to cure them. This is where you have the fight with Doctor Strange of him taking that prism type. So Doctor Strange, when he stopped the spell initially, he put it in almost like an artifact, or I don't know the name. He has a name for it, but Peter steals it because he doesn't want Doctor Strange to push the button. These individuals all go back to their normal time. They die. Right. And the fight with Doctor Strange was fun. And it was one of those things I thought could have been pared down a little bit. But one of the things I loved, and we talk about how we always, well, not we, but people say it's Iron Boy. This is not Spider-Man, which I disagree with. But this movie really puts in line that Peter is Spider-Man in the sense of when they go into the mirror dimension, he's like, this is geometry. I know geometry. I'm good at geometry. And how he ends up, outsmarting Doctor Strange.
Yeah, stranding him there.
Yeah, which I thought was great. But another thing, before they got to that part, I want your opinion. I still don't know why, but when Doctor Strange knocks Peter out of his body, when he does the, kind of like what happened with what happened to the Hulk, what happened to Doctor Strange in his movie. How was Peter able to still keep the device away from Doctor Strange? That is one thing I'm not sure of. I don't know.
I don't know how that necessarily worked, but MacGuffin.
I don't know if, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that was some type of instinctual remnant of his spider sense or Peter tingles, similar to how in everybody else in Infinity War just vanished without being able to say anything, but Peter kind of almost held on.
Yeah.
Is,
well, I think I think it was because of the spider sense, like that Peter knew what was happening when he went away. So maybe it's pseudo impervious to magic. Who knows?
But speaking of the spider sense, I absolutely loved how they used that when he has everybody after he beats strands Doctor Strange in the mirror world, or what is it? Yeah, they get to Happy's apartment with all the villains.
Yeah,
and they working on curing these individuals, which is great. Like just trying to find out how to cure these individuals, and you get they finally cure Doc Ock, or send the AI, kind of like what happened in the first one or in the second Spider-Man. And then all of a sudden Peter and this is kind of like one of those moments where again a lot was going on, but then you see Peter stop and then it gets quiet. And you're wondering like what's going on, and then you kind of pick up it's a spider sense. But I'm thinking something's because the cops are coming outside, that because of J. Jonah Jameson had somebody trailing him. Okay, it's the cops. But then it's not, because we realize that it's not Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn is gone.
Right.
And it's back to the Green Goblin. And I thought that was a very clever way of using his spider sense, being able to suss out the danger, even though it wasn't the danger. The danger
it wasn't
was
overt danger
there.
So
yes,
and then that fight, like
that was one of the most brutal fights I've seen in the MCU.
So
I mean that was extremely brutal.
Like putting him through the floor. And then the
power bombing him.
Yeah, just power,
doing a double leg.
Yep. And like Pete's trying to get away, he's trying to help, he's trying to, do this and that. And Norman has a great line because he blames May and her code, which we come to find out is with great power there must also come great responsibility. As she dies. But he blames May for that. And and that like Peter should like just Spider-Man in general should not have been this street level person. He should have been on par with the Green Goblin, at least that's how I took it. I don't know how you took it, but that's but yeah, it's it was really neat to see that. But the other thing, the other kind of nitpick I had was the Department of Damage Control, being like following Spider-Man around and J. Jonah following him around and, him being a total Karen about everything. Or what's a male version of a Karen? Is that a Kyle?
Oh, that's a Kyle? Carl?
Yeah. Carl?
Clint?
Yeah.
Chuck.
What?
I said Chuck.
No,
I don't
it's
know.
not Chuck. Chuck is Chuck Bartowski. I mean, he's the Intersect. Let's
Chuck
go
is
with
God
Kyle.
in Supernatural. So.
Do what?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with
Chuck
Kyle.
is God in.
Yeah. He's a total Kyle. And anyway, it's
the whole idea of damage control being this agency with these type of powers and abilities was, considering that Stark helped found it in Spider-Man, it's not the Spider-Man, but right after the Avengers, and they have this almost autonomous ability to detain, and it just, I don't know. I know I know it's from the comic. I just wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of that aspect of this of the movie, just having damage control being the one doing all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just weird. But like Peter takes a shot. Like he gets shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the suit protected him or what, because there was no like bullet in him. Because I don't think he's bulletproof. Maybe he is. I don't ever remember Spider-Man being shot. So I know he's been shot at, but he usually like flips and whoopsie doos around it.
But yeah, let's talk before the shooting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Like the first major emotional impact of the movie. Again, this is one of the most emotional movies of the MCU. Absolutely the most emotional one since Endgame. But when that fight where Peter against Green Goblin and all that, Aunt May becomes a casualty of war.
Yeah.
And when she gets hit with the glider and she gets up, again, that's a nitpick, but she'd have been broken in half. We know that. But if that would have happened, we wouldn't have got, well, it might have been better for you if we didn't get that great power comes great responsibility from her. But
well, so there was never an Uncle Ben. That's the thing.
Which I thought,
which is fine,
because
that's not a problem. Like I'm sure there's people out there who are gonna be like, well, there was no Uncle Ben, there was Uncle Ben's thing. And like if you wanted to have an Uncle Ben, like Ben could have died like when they were younger, and like Peter doesn't really remember him, but like May has been saying the great power, great responsibility thing, like just like Ben said, But I'm kind of glad that they didn't do it that way, like because May is a much more important character in this version of Spider-Man, and May did like take advantage of him as Spider-Man with her charities and the work she wanted to do, which is what Osborn was talking about. So in a lot of ways, he wasn't wrong, but at the same time, you're killing Peter's maternal figure. And
look, this is from a storytelling perspective, because we've gotten so much time with May and there's so many great moments with Peter and May. It hits harder when she says it, and watching her die than it would have if we got the whole not generic, but the traditional Spider-Man origin story.
Just the played out. Let's just put it that way. Like in movies it's played out. In comics, in
movies,
it's been handled perfectly in comics because he's never come back. He's one of the few characters that, and if they ever bring him back, like someone's getting the Winn Duffy treatment. So I'm not even going to expand on that.
But when he says, like when she falls down and he says, after she says that, and at first you think she's okay, which I'm like, they better not, it sounds wrong, but I said they better not let her live after getting just KO'd by that.
Right.
Because that would be ridiculous.
Well, she was under rubble and
and almost got hit and kind of got hit with the backhand blast of the pumpkin bomb.
Yep.
But when she falls down, Peter's like, what are you doing? And it's like he can't conceive that she's actually could die, because he was like, what? Because he said it like, just what are you doing? And watching him, just because again we've seen it before where he died in Infinity War and he came back, and then Endgame with Tony, but not to this level. I think Tom Holland reached another level in this scene, and it was like brutal watching him in this part.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even get to mourn her.
No.
Because he doesn't get to mourn because he has to go.
Yeah. He never gets to mourn her from when we see this movie. All right, let's kind of like, we're at like 50 minutes. Let's kind of move along. I hate glossing. I'm not trying to gloss over the scene. It's super impactful. It's super important. Go watch it. I think that's the best way to put it, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things we could talk about, but you have to see it.
Yeah.
You really do.
So then Ned gets one of the sling rings. Ned and MJ are hiding out at Ned's grandma's house. Ned makes a comment when they first go to the Sanctum Sanctorum that he's magic,
yes.
or his family has magic.
Yeah.
And then Ned becomes, and this is why I think he's kind of played out, becomes the biggest Mary Sue.
Oh, I just want to see Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, I mean, at least he couldn't close them, you know?
And he still had trouble sometimes with them.
True. But regardless, it was interesting, but, I want to see Peter, and it comes to a character in an alleyway, and they're like, oh, hey. And it could have been Tom. Like, it really could have been Tom Holland.
When I first saw it, I was like, already? Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, God.
Until he started.
I thought, are we going to do the Spider-Man No More, where he's going to leave the suit in the trash and fight the rest of the movie without it?
Right.
But he did not do that. But it's Andrew Garfield, and he's like, oh, no, I'm Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man. And they're like, you are not Peter Parker. We know Peter. I know Barry Larkin, and you are no Barry Larkin. But he's like, here, and he just grabs the ceiling with his fingertips, and they're like, oh, that's good. But show us more.
Well,
crawl on the ceiling.
She was like, yeah, crawl on the ceiling. That's not enough.
That's not enough. I will say, I think Andrew, even in the subpar Amazing Spider-Man movies, got the quips better than anybody. Like, just the
I think so.
quippy nature.
Yeah.
I think also because he's a little older, and he's a little more like muscular. Like, I bought him as Spider-Man more in this, because I never bought his physicality as Spider-Man. But yeah, and then they try to find Peter again, and Tobey walks through with no costume, just Tobey Maguire, who looks really good. I don't know if you thought that. I thought he looked really good. I don't remember the last thing I saw Tobey Maguire in, probably Spider-Man. But
Seabiscuit?
I've never seen Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit is the nickname. Never mind. Something from the League. But I liked the elder statesman Peter Parker that he was. The I've been there, and I've had these things that I've had to work through. It seems very much like him and MJ are together. Him and Mary Jane are together still. We get a ton of humor when they get all three of them together, right? And,
absolutely.
And it's like Peter, and they all answer. And
Peter Parker.
Well, that's all of us. And then they decide Peter 1, 2, and 3, and like, why am I 3?
Yeah.
I found them first.
Yeah. And the second, and again, this is like the beginning. This is like start of Act 3 when they find the new one. And they have to find where Peter went, because again, he just lost Aunt May, and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. They're like, well, I had this, and then I think Andrew Garfield was like, I had the Empire better view.
Yeah,
and Toby's like, yeah, it's a good view. But we're going back to that scene at the school where he and MJ are on the roof, and they say, oh, this is the only place where we can find peace and quiet, or what have you. And that's where he is, trying to mourn. And that's another heartbreaking scene, because you find out, they share, like they all three Spider-Man commiserate, even though Ned and MJ are still there. And that's where, the whole with great power. Yeah. And then Toby finishes it with, and the way he finishes it, it's like, comes great responsibility. It's like my Uncle Ben said it.
Yeah.
And then, so that's where they start that initial bond, is over losing someone important to them that gave them that message.
Well,
how important your
Yeah, and in all three cases, it's they lost someone because they didn't care. It was somebody else's problem. Because I mean, this was the thing. Like May wanted him to help. He didn't care. It was someone else's problem. You know, Peter didn't stop the robber at the wrestling match. He didn't care. That was somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
In Amazing Spider-Man, it's a little different because Ben fights the mugger, who's not even trying to shoot him. So it's almost like suicide by, you know, by attack, by you know, it's like suicide by cop. It's like suicide by hoodlum. So
yeah,
and you know they're making the serums. They're doing what they need. They're being the scientists. Like I felt like this was the most well-rounded Peter Parkers we've ever gotten from what's now 7 movies.
Yeah.
Right? 8 movies.
Oh, yeah.
8 movies.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree because when you're having that's the thing, when these movies can sometimes be so much about getting to the end and putting in the cheeky humor and all that stuff. We haven't always been able to get, and again, he got the Iron Boy suit. Mm-hmm. So you never, I won't say never, because there are moments here and there where you saw the snippets of how smart Peter is.
Yeah.
But this movie, more than the other two combined, or even his other appearances combined, mm-hmm. show that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great.
Agreed. You had them like talking about the web fluid, and they find out that Tobey Spider-Man has the web shooters in him, and that leads to a bunch of funny conversations. I don't want to spoil those jokes because they were really good. You know, talking just about the web fluid and things like that, and kind of just like you said before, commiserating and like, but like the fraternal relationship that was found between the three of them was really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's Andrew Garfield's Peter that says, "I've always wanted a brother."
I always wanted brothers. Yeah,
yeah.
So,
and I thought that was a touching line, especially considering that. I mean, even though they're each other, they're the same person. They are more like brothers in that regard.
He had the best one-liners. He 100%. Yeah. He had
and his deliveries
best
too.
Lines. Yes, it was all about his delivery. But yeah, the whole thing where Peter is given up when they're at the new Empire State Building, or not new Empire, the new Statue of Liberty.
Which now I know what Yelena was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Putting a cap's shield on Liberty, Lady Liberty.
I mean, John Walker can't be happy about that.
Yeah,
like, come on.
That was a little much for me. Honestly, that was a little. Actually, should have put it on her back.
Well,
cool.
they got their female Captain America in the MCU movies now. It's old Lady Liberty.
Yeah, and I will say this: that climatic battle there is so well put together.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil what happens with that battle. Like, even the end, so we get to the end. So the battle happens. I'm just gonna leave it. The battle happens. You have to watch. You've watched, so you know what we're talking about. The battle happened. It's amazing. It's so cool. But you have Doctor Strange finally show back up. And he takes the sling ring from Ned. Which is hilarious. He just immediately whoop. But because the box gets opened during the fight, reality has cracked, and Doctor Strange is doing what he can to put it together. But because of the spell that got out, everybody wants Peter. Everybody wants Peter Parker. I should probably make sure I say everybody wants Peter Parker. So, Anyway, it was like Tom Holland's article we were reading earlier.
Yeah.
About kids. Just don't say that, Tom. Just not like that, at least. Anyway, it's there's a way to stop it. There's a way to do this, like, which is great. It's not just magic run amok. But Peter needs to have everybody forget. He finally decides, okay, I've lost enough. I'm not gonna lose MJ and Ned as well as the rest of the world. And so he does this version of Peter Parker does the first selfless thing in his life.
Yeah.
And has the world forget him. And the way it is with the just the scene with Doctor Strange when he calls him sir,
I was just about...
and he's like, no, you call me Steven. And he said Steven. He goes, it still sounds weird. But when he says, I'll see you around, and he's like, you won't. And it's like, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah. And it just, in that moment with Cumberbatch, he emotes just how important, even though, how important Peter, how much he cares for Peter in that moment where when Peter makes that decision, he says, everybody is going to forget you. I will forget you. And like you said, this is a selfless act, because thinking about all the people's lives you've touched.
Yeah.
And no one will remember you.
Yep.
I mean, that is not, regardless of what's at stake, that's still not an easy decision.
No, absolutely not.
Because you will be more alone than you've ever been not just, in a school, not just at a job, in the world itself.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes that decision.
Yeah.
And again, I know there's a lot of Easter eggs with some of the characters that we saw. And that's one of those where when it comes on video, I'm going to actually have to pause it. Because, I saw Kraven. I saw, I think, Scorpion. I saw the real Rhino, not the Rhino in the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Not Paul Giamatti. I thought a guy in a robot rhino suit.
Yeah. So, and I know there were plenty other ones, but those are the ones I saw. But it happens, and everything is tied up as far as the multiverse breaking in. At least that's what we think. So for this movie, you get, the aftermath, and you get Peter, because that scene, and again, another very emotional scene is when he says goodbye to Ned and MJ, and he says, you're gonna forget me.
Yeah.
And then her reaction, and then she says, I love you. Mm-hmm. And the easy thing to do was say, him to say it back, and he was, but she says, no, come say it when you find me.
Yeah.
And man, that was, so that even makes what happens later, or not later, next, as far as everything is set, the magic spell, everybody's forgotten him.
Yep.
And he has this whole speech set out to find her, tell her everything. Like, hey, you don't know me, but you did. This happened, and all this stuff.
I do like when he's like, hi, I'm Peter Parker. I'd like a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So we see the world with Spider-Man, and Peter Parker is is just anonymous. He's in a crappy apartment. He's got to do his stuff, and he's being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for realsies. That he kind of was posturing as before, like he's right. Being a hero. Real quick, the way the characters like got sent back, I thought was a pretty lame special effect compared to what we've gotten from people disappearing and blipping in and out, if you will.
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
Okay.
I thought that was extremely lame.
Especially after what we got in, what's it called? Hawkeye last week with Yelena, Yelena Belova. And
I thought that was that was like a 90s type effect. It was just so, But
one of the 90s effect. That's giving it a lot of credit. It was like Star Trek Beam Me Up Scotty from the 60s, whatever, 50s, whenever that shit was on. 60s. It was it was just weird, but I love the send off between the Spider-Men. I thought it was really nice. I kind of hope we get to see them again at some point in the multitude of madness.
This was so well, like, not only I thought the script and the directing were great, but both of these actors, Garfield and again, I think we both agree that he never got a fair shake in the Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man movies, and it had nothing to do with him. We both know how good Tobey Maguire was in the first two Spider-Man movies. Third one, not necessarily as much, but what they brought to this movie and the chemistry that all three of them had together, I really, really, really want to see more of them on screen.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a really good way to end. And then it went out on such a high note. And really the last thing I want to talk about is the suit at the end of the movie. Is so comics accurate. The 8-year-old Brian that resides somewhere in my brain got very, very happy to see that. Was very excited to see the first Spider-Man costume from the first Spider-Man comic I ever read, right? It was note perfect.
Yeah. And he made it himself.
Yes, he made it himself. There was no technology in it. He's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And he's a menace. Keep my time. Oh, God, Spotlight. I'm going to watch Spotlight tonight. Or not Spotlight. What's the name of the drum movie? You know what I'm talking about.
The which movie?
The movie with J.K. Simmons with the drummer.
Whiplash.
Whiplash. That's what I meant to say. Whiplash. I'm going to watch that tonight. Anyway. Yeah, but I mean, it ended so Spider-Man note perfect that if this is it for Tom Holland, because there's been some clickbaity videos going out about like, oh, Tom Holland wants it to be a woman-ness Spider-Man, and Tom Holland's stepping away. Tom Holland gave an interview to Newsweek that said he wants to take a break from acting to start a family. Is that now? I don't know, because I think he's dating Zendaya, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are like
so
tight.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, is she ready to have babies? Because she's in like a billion things right now, or more. And I just said that to make myself laugh more than anything. So, you know, if they go a different way, like, I kind of would love it to see, like, maybe we get Amazing Spider-Man 3 with this crew, with these writers, with this director, with Andrew, and see what it's like when Spider-Man's not pulling his punches, or is used to not pulling his punches and has to, like, get back to the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man aspect.
Yeah. I would absolutely be all aboard on that one.
Yeah,
because that's how. And again, I never had a problem with Andrew Garfield. I really liked him actually as Spider-Man, and seeing him on screen with a competent team of creatives behind the scenes just only just highlights how good he could have been as Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so some call out scenes when Andrew cracked Toby's back for him was hilarious. Just kind of talking about the different things. I almost wanted them to put the wrong masks on and be like, oh, because when they panned over, the masks were like laying on the rail there. I like that was it. I think I think Ned getting caught by the cape and floating down was really cool. It was just a cool visual. And it reminded me of a Joe Hill comic called The Cape. So that was interesting. And I liked at the end when he went to visit them and how serious Ned was. Right? Ned was a different character.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
He was a completely different character. He's going to be the Hobgoblin now. Because he's not this fun-loving, joyous kid anymore. He was super serious. He was like, he had his donut and his coffee, and he was on his phone the whole time, where, previously Ned was like talking up a storm and like it was really, again, just the detail that they put into it. So.
And just in general, for me, talking about seriousness of Ned, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I just want to really drill down on the fact that even though this movie had a lot of funny moments, they never took away from the seriousness of the moment. Too often MCU movies will have a serious moment and then have a joke. Perfect example, Infinity War, when Gamora and Peter Quill are talking, and on the ship, and she says, "Hey, if this happens, you'll have to kill me." And then they kiss.
Right.
That scene should have been over. But instead you have the scene with Drax. Yes, it's funny. It drew memes where he was standing still, but it took away from that scene. That's not the only example. That was just like the first one that pops up in my head, because every time I watch Infinity War, I get annoyed because that's such a good scene between those two, and it's ruined by a joke.
Yeah.
And you've had people complain about that. This movie does not do that. I don't believe this. Yeah. It allows those serious moments to be serious moments, and then the comedy, the comedic moments are perfectly timed. Like even after they say goodbye and they hug. Yeah. There is a great moment where Andrew Garfield says, "You're in so much pain right now." Right. Yeah. And he's like, "So much pain."
Yeah, so much pain. I've been stabbed before.
Yeah. But that was and again, that's part of the director and writers having your favorite word.
Gravitas.
Or one of your favorite. Restraint.
Yes, there was so much restraint in this movie. It had restraint out the yin yang. No, I mean this was just fantastic. All right. Out of 10 Multiverse Spidermen. It says Darry here. It doesn't say Darryl. I gotta fix that, or I'll forget.
This is tough only because I've only seen it once. Yeah. And I usually don't. A movie like this, I usually need to see twice.
Yep. We're in the same boat.
Preliminary, yeah. So my preliminary score of this movie, only seeing it once, is out of 10.
Yep.
I will give it an 8.5. And that could go down. That could sneak up just a little bit. But I think, going over it, thinking about it for, the last few days, I think I'm going to like most of it more.
Yeah.
But I'm still, the scenes, especially the first act, I think I'm going to be a little bit more annoyed with, because
you've already sat through it once. I almost wish this was like a day and date release. So I could just get like,
I absolutely do.
Like if I could buy this on iTunes for $30 right now, I probably would.
Oh, I absolutely would.
Just so I could watch the second half of the movie.
Would.
Just so I could watch the second half of the movie. I go a solid 8. I, like you, give the, it could go up or down on a subsequent viewing, but I think This is the highest rating I've given a movie in like 2 years, with an 8. I don't think I've given anything above a 7.5 thinking about it. This was fun. This was the first Spider-Man movie in the MCU. The first Spider-Man movie, not the first Spider-Man movie, but the first Spider-Man movie. There's a different,
and that's a strong distinction.
Yes, there's different emphasis on different syllables there. But yeah, it was just good. It was like everything about it was like, I mean, it dragged at points, like, and I got kind of bored with the villains in the middle. But like, yeah, this was really good. And like, after just the nonsense that we've got, from
all other movie releases from the MCU so far.
There were no actors who were bitching about fans. There was no like actors having posted in pedophile chat rooms, and it's just refreshing.
It's how a movie should be. And that's the thing. This is how a movie, in the sense of not just being good, but the build up to it should be. All this stuff about, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that because we're being diverse and inclusive, or the people that don't like it are this, that, or the other. This is how a movie should be, in the sense of leading up to it and then us seeing it. And that, along with it being great, along with it being Spider-Man, along with, we get them people knowing, or pretty much knowing, that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in it is the reason that this has become the second biggest weekend of a movie in history.
Yeah.
Which...
Yeah, it was
we had talked about
it was just like the box office, like the way this box office is blown up. It did $50 million in previews, so that was Tuesday to Thursday. So keep in mind, Black Widow did 17, Shang-Chi did 17, Eternals did 8.
Ouch.
8. So it's at $638.1 million globally right now. Globally. All right. I'll pull up the Box Office Mojo. Globally, for Eternals, which has been out for 8 weeks now, it's not even 400 million.
And as you said, it hasn't even opened up in China yet.
And Spider-Man has not opened in China. Now, neither has Shang-Chi or the Eternals, but those are never going to open in China. So, So yeah, the domestic box office gross at the moment, and this was not just the weekend. The weekend was 260 million and change. It's at 297 million and change.
Jeez.
$37 million in a Monday. And I get it, it's a holiday week. People are off. But what was it? The Force Awakens did not do a $50 million Monday.
No.
And the Force Awakens went on to make $2 billion, just like Endgame. So yeah, it's
it's and again, we've talked about this for the last few months off and on, and as far as there never not being another $1 billion movie. Mm-hmm. Which
I was wrong.
And again,
I might not be wrong yet. I'm still contending there won't be a $1 billion movie for 10 years, but I might have been wrong.
Yeah. My fear had always been that the subpar state of the MCU in 2021 was really going to hamper this. Like again, it wasn't the, pandemic or anything. Again, we know that if a movie is good, if people want to see it, they're going to go see it.
Yeah.
So all this BS about, this is a great pandemic box office because people are, no. Yeah. A movie is good, you're going to go see it. And this is proof positive that you can't use it. Eternals can't use that excuse. Shang-Chi couldn't use that excuse. Black Widow can't use that excuse because we see the results of a movie that people want to see and that people don't feel like they're being talked down to by those that are involved in production.
They're not being told they're a bad person for whatever. Here's the thing though, is Marvel's going to learn all the wrong lessons from this.
You know they are.
They're not gonna follow through with this. I told you years ago, Tom Holland is a stout little fella, and they should have put the shoulder. They should have put the Sisyphus whatever rock or Atlas rock of the MCU on his shoulders and said, "Run with this, young man. Run with it. Make us proud." And no, we're gonna do Brie Larson. We're gonna do Sam Wilson, Captain America. We're gonna do the Eternals. We're gonna, it's like, no, you guys, you had it. You had the next direction. You wanted to do something different. Make Spider-Man the leader of the Avengers.
Yes,
that's different. You've turned him into Iron Man. Great, fine. I honestly didn't care before this if that's what they did, but now you better give me some good ass Spider-Man movies, fighting Kingpin, fighting the Sinister Six, Kraven's Last Hunt over at Sony. Tom Holland sure as fuck better be in that movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So, all right, we're at an hour and 20-ish minutes. Let's stick a fork in this fun ass conversation.
Yeah, I could keep going on talking about this movie, but
we'll watch.
We can do that.
We're definitely gonna watch this again. We will do a shorter segment about like just kind of our if our initial reactions were held up. So anyway, thank you all for listening. Go see this movie again if you have friends that like Spider-Man, whatever. I'm not going to talk about the end credit scenes because who even knows? Well, one's an end credit scenes and one's a trailer. So, yeah. Thank you for listening.
See ya.